Good morning from the beautiful Calder Valley. We are on the last morning of the trip and just above Hebden Bridge, which is just outside of where ADV Spec is based, and we've been at a very rustic campsite, which has been fantastic for us, just up here in the field behind me. Just thought I'd just take a minute to talk about some of the gear that we've been using. So ADV Spec have been working on this layering system for quite a while now. The idea really comes from outdoors, mountaineering, alpine kind of principle of layering, where you have a series of lightweight layers that you put on and take off and combine depending on what the conditions are. So the idea with this kind of riding, trail riding, is it's not so dissimilar to alpine in that you're going through lots of different temperatures, lots of different conditions. Unlike regular motorcycling, where you are just sat on the bike, trail riding is a lot more physical. So there are times where you can overheat, and there's times where you simply don't need waterproof layers. So the layering that I've been using on this trip has all started with a base layer. So I've been wearing the core shorts and underneath my core long leg, and then I've had a core t-shirt and a long sleeve top depending on the weather. I hadn't really given much thought to the core layers before, and I was actually really surprised at how well they've worked. The really obvious thing is they just don't smell. I believe there's some fabric used that involves silver iron yarns, I think, but I have worn my underwear, my base layers, every single day and every single night, and I've literally only taken them off to have a shower and then put them back on, and they don't smell. I'm not going to say that they don't smell at all, but compared to a regular t-shirt and regular boxer shorts, after that amount of time, I mean, yeah, they really, I mean, I feel like I could keep wearing them. Maybe I've got used to it, but that's something I've been impressed by. They've really helped in the cold weather, especially at night, sleeping in the sleeping bag. And for the trail riding we've done, I think the temperatures have been in the day probably about 9 or 10 degrees at the coldest, maybe a bit colder when you factor in wind chill, but ambient air temperature right up to probably the 20s, low 20s for yesterday when it was really hot here in the Peak District. So yeah, core base layers worked well. They're a tight fit, but they're designed to be. On my legs, I've been using the Atacama race pants. I think there are some non-race pants on the way, which is probably going to be Mongolia's, which will be over the boot, but the race pants are in the boot trousers. They are really well ventilated, probably a bit too ventilated and cold, so putting a waterproof overshell on the long motorway sections when it was a little bit colder at the start of the trip. They've worked really well. They're very flexible, and they don't make noise when you're walking. I think this is the thing with all of this kit, is that I've been impressed with it on the bike, but really it's when you're off the bike and you're walking around, you're in a cafe or you're camping, it feels much more like regular outdoor clothing than bulky, stiff motorcycle clothing. They don't have any leather on them, which keeps the weight down, and also means that it doesn't get heavy. Well, it doesn't get heavy when wet, and you can wash it easier. And in the hot weather, particularly with the big vents that come down the top, that's where they really come into their own. Really well ventilated. And I just like the fit. I don't really feel like they're kind of hanging off my backside. I'm a size 30. I'm a small a little on the short side, but yeah, they work, and I kind of like the neatness of going in the boot. There's nothing flapping around. So yeah, that's the trousers. Just realised I'm squinting because I'm looking at the sun. I should have my shades on. So up top, on top of my base layer, I've had an armoured shirt. That's a force field armoured shirt. There probably will be a Adventure Spec armoured shirt on its way, but we'll talk more about that when we can. On top of the shirt, on top of the armoured shirt, most days I've been wearing my hybrid, which is mid layer. It's got insulated padding in the key areas, kind of around the shoulder and around your kidneys, around the back. But the rest of it's a very stretchy, kind of thin material, so it stretches over the body armor really well, and it doesn't bulk out under a jacket. I've actually, when I got hold of this, it's the jacket that I've been wearing around the house loads. I really like it. It's really, really versatile, and it looks good. The pocket on the inside is a really good size for a passport, so I've essentially kept my passport on my body at all times by keeping it in that pocket, in that chest pocket. The jacket I'm wearing now is the Baltic insulated. This is a much more insulated jacket than the hybrid. It's got insulation all the way through it. It's kind of got two different materials, and the materials over the shoulders are a little bit thicker, give you a little bit more protection from weather if you need to wear it in the rain. I haven't had to wear this while I'm riding, although it wouldn't be a problem to put it on underneath, but it just hasn't been cold enough to put that on with the base layers and everything. But I have worn it a lot whenever we're off the bike camping. It's just to throw it on for the campsite, sleep in it if it's cold, or roll it up and use it as a pillow. I really like it. Well, I've got a similar Rab jacket, which is actually much more puffy and may actually be a bit warmer if you're in an alpine environment. But for this, the thickness of it and the arms means that it just doesn't have like crazy amount of bulk, so it'll fit inside your riding jacket pretty well. Hood is a very particular shape. But again, I think it's just making the most out of the materials it's got without being too big. So the jacket I've been wearing every day for riding has been the Linesman jacket. We called it the Linesman after the tech linesmen that have helped put together this fantastic project that I'm enjoying so much this week. So it's a soft shell. It's really lightweight. It's a soft shell with Kevlar lined abrasion patches on the shoulder and on the lower arms and around the hips. It's just really comfortable. I really like the fact that it doesn't make any noise, and it's just got a really kind of nice freedom of movement in it. The other thing that I really like, which has got nothing to do with performance and it's pure vanity, but it just looks great, you know. It doesn't look like a motorbike jacket. It looks so much smarter, and I think that's to do with the shoulders. You just you don't feel like you're wearing motorbike gear. You get off the bike, and everyone's had good gear on this trip. The other guys have had climb gear, but you just feel like you're the smartest looking guy walking into the cafe, the restaurant. You don't really feel like a biker. It's a very simple jacket. It's got some big vents on the back, which I've opened when it's got hot. The chest pockets, which I normally keep a little notebook in, a ventilation when you open them, they've got mesh behind them, so they open for ventilation. The other thing that I noticed was the sleeves. So there's no Velcro cuff. The sleeves are elasticated at the end. I wasn't sure how that would work with the gloves, but I've actually really enjoyed it. They just seem like a good length without too much bunching. It just makes it really easy to get it on, put your gloves on and go. So yeah, I've enjoyed that. The other thing that I've noticed this week is the collar comes up quite high. So at times before where I've maybe would have put a buff on, like a neck collar, I haven't really needed to. I've literally just had to zip it right up to my chin, and that's just tucked underneath my helmet, and it's given me some really good protection, especially on the motorway miles that we've done. I like it. I've enjoyed riding behind Noel, who's wearing one as well. He looks really smart in it. The issue with the Linesman, well, it's not really an issue, it's a feature, but it's not waterproof. So you shouldn't get this jacket expecting it to be a one jacket, does everything kind of jacket. It's in the last few days where we've been riding in the sunshine, it's been perfect, absolutely perfect for those conditions. When it's raining, which it was at the start of this trip, you need to put a waterproof shell on over the top. Now I just put a Rab, my old Rab walking jacket on for this trip. Noel's been lucky enough to have the ADV Spec Mongolia waterproof shell, which again looks great. It's a waterproof jacket with reinforced area in the key abrasion zones. Again, it looks really smart. I can't really tell you what it's like to use because I haven't used it yet, but Noel has. I can tell you what it looks like. It looks good, and Noel's not mentioned at all any kind of water coming through. I think he enjoyed the Velcro cuffs on that. That's something that he mentioned on that, but we'll get him to talk a little bit more about that jacket. So that's the system, and there are some waterproof trousers on their way, which will kind of round it off as a layering system. In terms of a layering system, at the start of the trip, when it was raining, then it was dry, and it was raining, it was dry, it was a little bit of a pain to have to keep stopping. And the thing is, not everyone had this system. So some of the other guys were wearing the Climb waterproof gear, and for them, they didn't have to stop. And so when it did start raining, you had to rely on someone at the front. If it was me or Noel, we'd stop and put the gear on. If it was them, they're not bothered. So it just depends how kind they are on whether or not they were going to stop and let us put on our waterproof gear. So it does interrupt the flow a little bit, like that. But then again, after those 2 days of rain, when we didn't need to use them any longer, we weren't, or I wasn't, myself and Noel weren't riding around in waterproof gear that we didn't need, and I think we were pretty comfortable for it. So yeah, that's just something to factor in. I guess it's just where you want to make your compromise, really. If you're prepared to have a little bit of a stop-start for the changing conditions, then I think it's a really good system. If you just want to get your head down and ride, and what's more important to you is to just keep going and never stop, and just put on one jacket and not think about it, then yeah, maybe another system would be right. But I've really enjoyed it, and I look forward to seeing kind of what comes next. You know, it's been an exciting year for ADV Spec, and we're really looking forward to seeing how people use the gear and how they get on with it. So yeah, that's the gear on the tech.